So I think you can still see the little like lines here because I just got back from a little ride. I went down to the federal building where we were having an ICE rally and protest after they killed Renee Good in Minneapolis just this morning. An event that is made so much more tragic by the reality that it was both inevitable and always optional. It's happened in Minneapolis, in a state that is already experiencing a lot of fuckery from the Trump administration. And by all reports and watching the video, which you can go ahead and watch it for yourself if you want. I'm not going to include it here if you want. To me, it's kind of like Charlie Kirk. I really didn't need to have seen it, to be totally honest. I have experienced enough police violence in my life. I have had cops draw guns on me. I know what that feels like. And it is horrific to watch someone be gunned down in the middle of the street, because that's what happened. A woman was just gunned down. She was shot in the head multiple times by an ICE agent, and their excuse is that she was trying to use her car as a weapon, which, of course, what got us to this moment is that this regime believes in violence as the primary tool for getting what they want. They don't believe in any type of coming together, any type of compromise between two positions, because these people are fascists to their core. That is also why they make things like complaining about fascism or capitalism or the system itself or the government illegal. And they call you a terrorist when you do anything that that has anything close to a fucking whisper of not totally 100% being on fucking board what they have going on. I'm not going to be legal eagle over here and go point by point and explain, well, technically so in this federal law. No, the guy fucking murdered her, and it's pretty obvious. And we are so far past any type of like legal justifications. We need to start operating at the speed that the Trump administration is, which is instant fucking taneous. Trump is stealing fucking money through all of his crypto shit. He is accepting bribes openly. There is no law anymore other than what you can get the fuck away with. And they are going to do everything they can right now to get away with this murder. They are going to protect this ICE agent. They are going to protect everyone who protects him. Since the Trump administration has started these ICE raids, has started doing these different operations directly into communities, this is what they have wanted. Is they wanted some sort of normal person to experience consequences for standing up to them. Because here's the thing, ICE has killed lots of people already. They've done it in detention, they've done it in the streets, like it's happened. What makes this situation unique was not that ICE killed somebody, it's who they killed and what they were doing when they were murdered. This person was operating in the function of a legal observer. That is, observing and recording law enforcement to ensure that they are doing their job within the legal restraints that they are supposed to operate under. But in Donald Trump's America, he has the ICE Gestapo who operate under no law. They operate only under his personal authority, and they do what he and his fucking little cabinet of little shitheads like Marco Rubio and just bloodthirsty people like Pete Hegseth. And they have been on ICE agents to become more aggressive, more violent, deport people faster. That is what made this event inevitable. And it is benign in that inevitability. It was always going to happen. I've been waiting for this moment for months. And again, there have been other deaths I thought might be it, but this was the one. But it's so fucking tragic because it was never a requirement. We never needed to get here. ICE does not need to exist. And even if you want them to exist, they do not need to operate with like this. As much as law enforcement across our country is insanely aggressive and corrupt and like operates on their own fucking set of rules that privileges them above other people, like ICE is just, they're in a totally different world. I am constantly surprised by the horrific things I see ICE do in broad fucking daylight to people. And I'm so disappointed that we as a society continue to tolerate it. It is destroying our freedoms in ways that can only be rivaled by the Patriot Act. Anyway, so that's why I was at this event, and I just want to talk you through what happened. This is the federal building. I have some diagrams I'm going to make to explain the situation. With videos like this, I assume I'm talking to other activists or people who are activist-minded and so are interested in the technicals of how these type of events happen from a security and safety perspective. Let me talk about what I brought to this event. First off, I brought stickers because my goal with going to this at all is just to network and talk to other people. I go to a lot of these events. I see a lot of the same faces, but there's always new people, you know, it's their first time going. And I want to give them a good, positive experience, especially with someone who looks like me. I'm often wearing a helmet with a giant skull on it, so it's like a +10 to intimidation. I bring audio video equipment because I had intended to interview a couple people while I was there, but for reasons I'll get into later, I didn't get around to that. And before I got there, I gassed up and grabbed a little snack just in case. The point of talking about this is just to emphasize that I was traveling extremely light for this event. This was a impromptu, found out about this a couple hours ago, again, in response to something that happened today. I know it's going to be a rally. That's all I really know. If it's something like this where it's impromptu, really usually the only people that are going to show up are going to be the propagandists to create their content. I wouldn't really expect like other fascist groups, Proud Boys, Patriot Front, whatever, to show up to this type of thing. Generally, they need way more time to coordinate their uniforms. In this center area here, this is where people are speaking and talking, kind of doing that rally piece. I showed up early before anything was going on, so I just kind of wandered through people and offered them free stickers, you know, made some friends. This is where I park my bikes. This is a one-way street. So for security reasons, ideally, I would actually have my bike like here in some sort of blocking capacity because these are where the two streets can kind of come in. That's your vulnerable spot for pedestrians. But there was already people there. I didn't want to bug anybody, so I figured it's better off to just kind of get to the side, get away from people. And there is also this little bus buffer area. So you can kind of see cars shouldn't really be in there. Generally, this is a pretty safe space to be hanging out. There is also a kitty quarter over here is another government building. The police are like all up in this place. I go around the crowd, I hand out stickers to basically everybody, and I'm just shooting the shit with people, having a good time. There's always a couple people that recognize me in my videos, so I stop to have a little chat. It's good. I make a lot of friends at these things. Sometimes they have motorcycles and start joining me when I come. Across from here is just another building. I think it's like another federal, it's some other government building, who knows. One of the things I do when I go to these events is monitor the police response and note down what they do. So down this street here, I saw two cop cars, one stacked after the other. And, you know, they're just monitoring. I don't have any problems with cops sitting there and monitoring a big group of people in front of a federal building. I guess that's kind of their job. In the building itself, there was cops, and these are sometimes Seattle PD or DHS or ICE people too. And then there was a small group of cops. I think they might have been what are called POET officers, which are like community outreach. They're way less aggressive. They'll talk to you. They just are like the friendly face.
What does POET mean?
Police Outreach Engagement Team.
After the riots in 2020, you know, we made lots of changes to our crowd management policy. And so POET came about to just increase dialogue between the police and protesters.
And these people kind of wandered around and, you know, after they talk to people, because they do try to get intel about what is happening, you know, and I think for them, they think of it as less malicious than it is. But I mean, that is what they're doing. They will talk to you. They will ask you, you know, how long is the rally going for? What's your plans? Are you with a group? You know, they'll want to get as many details as possible. And they report all that up, you know, that's how they figure out what we're doing. And again, I don't have a huge problem with these people. I'm just paying attention to what they're doing. And then there was some reporting that like a paddy wagon was down here, like a van. So if the event gets going proper, I noticed that like there's some like photographers and video people up here setting up their cameras. And I remember, oh shit, I need to get an establishing shot of this for the video, you know, so you can see the whole crowd, how many people were there. So I wander over to do that. And I'm just taking photos and videos. And then, son of a bitch, I look to my left and you know who I fucking see? Just on this little fucking balcony. Jonathan Clown Choe. Jonathan Choe is the disgraced former journalist who was fired from the local news station Como back in 2022.
Choe, I know this guy. Yeah, Jonathan Choe. Oh yeah, this guy loves to lie about shit on the internet.
away.
I'm just right here, dog.
Man,
I'm just enjoying the city.
Stay away. Don't come.
Do you know what's going on over here, buddy?
Don't even come near me.
Do you know what's going on,
I'm
everybody?
here to cover it.
What, cover what?
Now you gotta bring reinforcements, like I said.
Everybody around me's reinforcements, dog. I don't need reinforcements, motherfucker. I'm just here. I'm like me. I'm not scared of the truth.
Take off the helmet. Take off the helmet and talk to the man. There you go.
Yeah. You know what these people are here doing?
They're here to target the mayor of Seattle, not your community.
Why?
Because
what do you mean why?
He blamed them.
What are they doing Saturday, dog? What are they doing Saturday, dog? Oh, you don't have time to tell people what's the drill, what's fucking happening, dog? Oh shit! Oh shit! Fucking Jonathan Choe just fucking assaulted somebody. Holy shit! Cops! This guy just fucking assaulted somebody. Hey man, you want to fucking find out? This guy just assaulted this guy. See that? He just hit that guy with a fucking stick.
He's the guy right there.
How convenient. How fucking convenient. How convenient. That guy got fucking hit. That guy was hit by that guy.
He assaulted me.
Holy shit.
Doing my job, turning.
Jonathan Choe is a fucking liar.
I was able to talk to John just after it happened, and here's what he had to say.
All right, what's up, Cam?
What happened?
Basically, I was covering this beginning of this rally here outside of City Hall, and 3 Antifa activists started swarming at me. One of the guys grabbed my shoulders. I just cleared the area, and thank God there are tons of officers, and it looks like they just made the arrest. And I got it all on video, of course. Good. And the far left activists are blaming me.
He is so fucking goofy. It would be funny if he wasn't such a giant piece of shit. And unfortunately, these types of events where, you know, people are murdered by fucking unhinged federal agents, he shows up to make fun of it for his audience. That's how he gets a paycheck, because there's now an entire DEI ecosystem designed to employ people who are just the worst motherfuckers in our society.
All right, so again, we're at an anti-ICE protest in Seattle, right in front of the federal building, and of course, these far-left activists are flying a Palestine flag. This has nothing to do with Palestine, but of course, it's the same crowd, same group of activists, just a different cause, going after the latest shiny object. So far, a lot of speeches, chanting, yelling, and now ICE out of whatever city they want ICE out of. And they're calling everyone fascists.
I haven't interacted with this guy since I watched him hit somebody right in front of my fucking eyes. So of course, that's the first thing on my mind when I see him.
What kind of propaganda are you making today, Choe?
Oh my God, Squid Tips, how are you?
Hey, no, don't fucking touch me, you fascist piece of shit. You belong in a fucking jail cell.
I was gonna say what's up.
How did you get out of hitting that guy? I've been wondering how to ask, like, what happened?
Why don't you take off your helmet? Man up again. You're scared, aren't you?
That doesn't work on me a second time. I can just show him the video the first time and watching you shit your pants.
Yeah, man.
So how'd you get out of hitting that guy?
I don't know what you're talking about,
How'd
man.
you get out of hitting
How's
that?
the theft? You stealing cans of soda
what?
again? You telling everyone to do gay crimes?
What does that mean, gay crime?
I don't know. You said it. What's a gay crime?
I just want to know how
be
you
gay,
do
do crime. I'm sorry, I
assault
misquoted
a gay
you.
Crime? Is that what? Because
Hey, how's that? You find a new job, or are you a professional YouTuber now, full time?
Yeah, I made a whole bunch of money doing my cybersecurity job, so I can just kind of hang out and do whatever I want.
Congratulations, man. I'm
It's
glad.
pretty awesome. Yeah, I know. My family actually likes me, so I still talk to them.
What do you think about this?
I think your wife still doesn't talk to you.
Look at that. You're wearing
your daughter doesn't talk to you.
no helmet.
You're pretty,
there you go.
You're
You're scared.
Fucking
How's
guy.
your boyfriend, huh? The one with the penis.
The boy with
the penis.
No, I know, it's fucking
I gotta
hilarious.
get down there.
I know that for you, like, these childish fucking games are, like, really funny.
I'm gonna show you my team.
Do you want to go back to your house and
I'm gonna show you
Bellevue?
my team is.
So he starts playing this little follow me game, which is so funny because Literally, this is the exact interaction I had with Choe the very first time I met him. I didn't even know it was Jonathan Choe. I had just showed up to when the federal workers were all fired and there was an event out there, and I just kind of showed up in Black Bloc. I didn't ride. I took off work. I was there on my fucking lunch, and I saw him harassing people, haranguing people, and I ended up following him, and he took that exact same path down that escalator, running down it. But like, I'm not trying to run him off. I just want to talk to him. I find the fascist mind to be quite fascinating. I did think offering me a pound was pretty hilarious, which you realize very quickly listening to him, because he is not an intelligent man. He's actually a very, very stupid man. These people are just pulling on a slot machine of insults that come to their head, whatever racist, bigoted, homophobic thing they can fucking come up with to try to get a rise out of you so that they can make content off you. I'm not interested in making that type of content. I'm interested in knowing how the fuck he got away with striking someone in the middle of the fucking street. How he got the cops to do his fucking bidding. How much SPD pays him. That's what I really want to fucking know. But he didn't seem to want to answer those questions. He seemed more interested in playing this game.
Back to your house in Bellevue?
My team is.
Sure, let's see your team. Would you like a fuck ice sticker? Where are you going? Oh, Choe, you're walking so fast. I'm in all this gear. What the fuck is this guy doing? Bro, I don't want to walk the... I'm gonna get my bike. I'm gonna get my bike then. This is so fucking far, dude. Okay. All right, all right, all right, all right. How far? Right around the bag. I don't have to keep. What is going on?
I don't care about people trying to like jump me in a fucking alleyway or whatever. I'm wearing motorcycle gear? You better fucking kill me. But the thing is, I know for a fact that Choe works with SPD. I don't know if he's a CI or anything official, but I have seen enough things, the way that he is able to literally direct SPD officers to arrest specific people. Even though they haven't seen anything, they will literally just do whatever Choe says.
Y'all are such fucking chuds. Holy shit. Oh, wow. This is embarrassing. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. And you're going to bring him back. This guy just fucking assaulted someone and you're bringing it back. Wow. What the fuck?
He didn't do shit!
Holy shit! Holy shit!
He didn't touch anyone!
I can't believe my fucking eyes!
I also watched him go to that little Antifa cry table at the White House a few months back, where he handed a little dossier of fucking names, which I'm sure mine was in.
Antifa attacks our police stations. They attack our courthouses. They dox our law enforcement officers. No more. They are a terrorist group, and we are coming after them.
Part of the problem that we have is that a lot of people refuse to believe that Antifa is real. It is just a made-up thing, but I have seen them. They are real, they are dangerous, and they are violent.
They are an organized, systemic, international criminal enterprise.
I've been attacked by Antifa, doxxed by Antifa, harassed by Antifa, but we're not standing down. We're now coming for you.
So understand that Choe operates like this with total impunity, saying these terrible things because he knows that he is backed by these institutions, these powers. Just like the ICE agent who shot Renee Good on the orders of the Trump administration to be as aggressive and violent as possible, Choe knows that he will be protected by this administration.
This guy. He's literally calling the cops on me right now. He's literally fucking calling the cops on me. What a weird psycho.
So yeah, I don't want to play this little fucking game. All I did was notify other people who were operating in some sort of security capacity so that they knew, confirm for them that they had a strategy, which is to just ignore his dipshit ass And yeah, that was it. As much as Choe wants to make me out into this violent Antifa thug, you know, I'm just not. After that really strange interaction with Clown Show, I stuck around just waiting for the press conference to end. And at that point, the people took to the street and started to march. I had no idea where we were going, what we were doing, or if there was any plan. So I just kind of ad-libbed. I didn't have to work with anybody. I didn't have to make any plans. I kind of just knew generally where I needed to be, which is just in front of the march, making sure that cars didn't hit people. And if you're familiar, this is called corking. If you're unfamiliar with this, I made a whole video about doing it for Palestine protests, which was way more official, and I talked more through the specifics. But yeah, the march didn't go far. It basically just went a couple of blocks up and a couple of blocks down, mostly sticking to one-way roads, which is nice because that makes the safety way easier.
Watch your back there. Watch your back. Watch your back. Watch your back. They have a green light. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come back. Okay. Okay. Now we can take it. See those cops behind them, right? Way down at the back. Behind the cars.
As the march started to double back, I started to see that cops were preparing to contain the march. What that generally looks like is, let's say this is a one-way road, they might go up a street ahead and then block that off with their car. When they doubled back toward the federal building, I kind of lost them, so I went farther down and came back over here where I saw a whole bunch of bicycle cops lined up.
There's cops right here! There's cops! There's cops! White cops!
Now here's the thing, this march was not violent. Nobody was throwing things, nobody was breaking anything, you know, other than traffic laws. So generally, in Seattle, that is not going to be a reason for them to violently rush in. And it seemed more like maybe they were waiting for an opportunity to do that. So seeing this and then seeing the other cops, you know, farther up and then seeing them start to block, you know, the extensions out. That's this is like your basic kettle situation. So I sat here and tried to get everyone's attention and letting them know that that was what was there. And then afterward, I drove around to the back of the march and let people know there too, only to find that cops had already basically permeated their little bubble there.
White cops, yeah, like a big fucking group of them, like 12.
This is the mass of people. These are all those bike cops. And then there was, yeah, a little police car here and then cops wandering around. And that to me was the sign that I needed to leave. This is not a tactically defensible position. Not that anyone should be worried. Again, nobody was doing anything wrong. Nobody was fighting. Nobody was flipping cars. It was a peaceful demonstration, but it was an illegal event. And we are in a world where basic demonstrations, basic free speech is now very much on the table and needs to be fought for if we want to keep it. Anyway, so I took that opportunity, tried a little more around, confirmed that that was what was happening, and then I skedaddled. Before I close out, I just kind of want to rapid fire things that I saw and thought were notable. I saw some people with American flag memorabilia, and my test is always giving people a sticker. That's actually another reason I do it is just to get an opportunity to feel people out from just otherwise just staring at them across the fucking way. In this type of crowd, generally American flag, like bandanas or merch, is going to be someone who's a veteran. I have seen people have conflict over that, and especially as we're now living in a world where we abducted the president of Venezuela randomly in an extremely imperialist fucking. It's crazy. I explain this because I know a lot of people don't actually have conversations with those people. They don't have those questions, and they will often judge them based upon that and might believe they are something that they are not. And even if they aren't and nothing happens, like, you might be afraid, it might make you feel anxious, like there's these Patriot Front people or these Proud Boys, right-wingers, like in there just waiting to attack you, if you don't know. And so I just want to emphasize that those people aren't necessarily bad. It's just another indicator. I definitely saw some people that looked like they were ICE monitoring the situation. There was a guy very specifically who was kind of in some tactical gear, but like subtle black, and he was wearing this little cowboy hat, and he said ICE all over him. Or, he's been Border Patrol. He didn't really have any actions. He actually kind of stood over on the walkway over there for the most part. I saw a video the other day of a trans girl on Instagram who got a letter from the FBI telling her that she needed to stop her radical gender ideology shit. So, I don't know how far they're going to go to monitor, surveil, and try to punish people who go to these events just to fucking stand around and cheer and hold a goddamn fucking sign.
This may be the most important video that I've ever made. The FBI is officially targeting trans women and trans activists. My good friend Tara Knight is a black trans woman, as well as a published author, an essayist, and a prominent trans feminist. 3 days ago, she was sent a letter from the Federal Bureau of Investigations demanding that she cease publications of her book and her online essays.
So as you've all have likely heard, I was forwarded a letter from the FBI informing me that my work and my platform and everything I've built over the past 3 years has to go for propagating what they are calling radical gender ideology. This comes from Trump's executive order, basically saying I'm a propagandist for domestic September 11th-ing.
Yeah, this is definitely something I am monitoring. The presence of the Seattle Police Department was more significant than it has been in the past. And I don't know if that's like a temporary thing for this day, this moment. I get the sense, talking to Seattle police officers and like kind of watching them in their posture, that when ICE does something that fucks with people's perception of law enforcement as a whole, like, they get scared. I think there's a lot of conflict with beat cops like Seattle Police Department and ICE, because I'm guessing that a lot of these people probably support ICE. You gotta be 50+%, right? There's no, you might even be pushing into like 80, 90. ICE is also kind of same team, at the end of the day. That thin blue line between order and chaos, right? I mean, you can't have different lines, right? There couldn't be like a thin blue line and then like a fat red line behind it, right? Where it's like ICE, like they're all the same team. It's all that thin blue line. So, and I think that they get a bad rap for what ICE does. They feel like they get a little negativity even though they didn't necessarily do anything. But to be honest, I think a lot of them like putting on the riot gear and pushing around fucking college students. So. But yeah, this is another thing I monitor, how much they respond and how aggressive their response is. I was surprised how quickly they kind of closed in on the march and had set up for that with the bike cops. But it doesn't sound like there was any violence, so that's good. No arrests, no fights. That's a good night. Forgive my casing if it bothers you. What the fuck do we do about these motherfuckers? Sorry. What do we do about ICE from this moment? Well, the first question is, what can we do? So if ICE was funded via an act of Congress and they have billions and billions of dollars, like way more money than we're ever going to be able to burn up. Our Congress is dog shit. They're not going to do anything until we completely get a totally different set of elected officials who have some sort of actual value system. And that's something we should work on. This is like a long-term thing we should be fixing. That's why I got involved in the Katie Wilson campaign. Electoral politics are not everything, but they are a part of a larger picture, and we need to be pushing back in every arena possible. But the other option we have is Trump doing something about it. But Trump fucking loves ICE. He loves ICE. He loves having his own personal armed force. So I would not expect that to go anywhere. You probably can't take their money directly unless you're their maid or something and you're like taking it off the coffee table. So yeah, I think overall this isn't a functional strategy. So then we've got local policies and options. This would be trying to use your local government, judicial system, whatever institutions exist to throw blocks in ICE's whatever the fuck they're doing. Anything, everything. A big one here is how local cops interact with these ICE agents. And again, we just talked about kind of the complexity with it. But overall, elected politicians have been extremely cowardly in actually directing cops to operate in a specific way around ICE agents. So far, local cops have been protectors of ICE agents. And if we want them to do anything different, it's going to need to come from the top down. You need the chief of police or the fucking mayors or the governors or some sort of direct elected official who has power officially over these people to make them do something different. Like this issue here, these people might not be up for the task. These people might be very much in the bag for what ICE is doing, or at a minimum, just a coward who's trying to stay in office. But these are places that we can apply pressure, we can apply heat to try to get them to do something, or at least be less fucking friendly. At the end of the day, we're going to have to replace a lot of these fucking people though. That's the last option. And I know it's not one people want to do. I don't fucking want to do it. I don't like having conflict. I don't like potentially experiencing violence from the state, but we're running out of options. And let me be clear what the definition is here. When Renee Good was killed today, she was doing this. She was just documenting what the cops were doing. As much as they want to make this illegal, this isn't really something they can make illegal, because the questions are going to be, how far do I need to be to record you? Do I need to be 25 feet? Do I need to be 100 feet? Like, I can get a better camera and microphone if we're just talking about distance. If you're saying I can't record them, prove it. Make them try to arrest you and take the data off and prove that that's what you were doing. If you're going to do something like this, you really need to think through these strategies, and you might be interested in getting yourself a Graphene OS phone. But here's the thing, you need to have your safety in mind, because these people will fucking kill you. I have made videos on security culture and recording videos at these types of events. I highly suggest you go watch those videos if this is something you are interested in doing. There's a lot to consider and think about, and I care about your safety. Documenting ICE activity should not be a potentially deadly thing to do. But that's the world we live in, and you need to operate that way. That's the most important part, because if we don't have this, we don't know what they're doing, that is the first step towards losing it. And they really want to stop us. This is critically important to do because it is the first step towards reporting it. There is such a massive war on just information in this country right now. They don't want you documenting it because they don't want to report it. And it's not even that they don't want people to see ICE doing violent things. It's that they want to control the narrative. That is why Renee Good died, is because she made controlling the narrative more difficult. If we lose reporting, if we lose the information, it's going to be a lot harder to fight. And this is why supporting independence, supporting outlets like Unicorn Riot, outlets like the Trans News Network, Seattle Gay News, Through the Static, Hannah Krieg, all these independent individuals, they all need so much help. If you are not canceling your Amazon subscriptions, if you're not getting rid of cable, if you're not finding ways to eliminate costs in order to support indie broadcasters and information providers, we're really going to struggle. It's going to be a huge problem. We're talking about like a digital dark age. Anyway, don't really want to think about that. And then finally, we resist. But here's the thing. Resistance, fuck. It's a continuum, you know? There's different levels to this. And I don't necessarily mean violence. I think that getting creative is actually really important here. As an example, I want to tell a story that I heard recently from a podcast that is run by a couple of trans women locally. Very small podcast called .fem, and they specifically focus on queer history from a queer lens, and I find it really great. So in the 1980s and 1990s, the AIDS epidemic killed lots and lots of people. But because it was predominantly gay men and trans women, it wasn't really taken seriously. There's a really famous recording of Ronald Reagan getting interviewed by a news reporter as it's kind of like the early days of the AIDS crisis, and they're just kind of like figuring out what's going on. But he's trying to kind of get him on the record. Hey, are you paying attention to this? Do you care? And Reagan's response is pretty illuminating. What took Reagan from that very kind of callous and cruel conversation about people dying was, among other things, the AIDS quilt. A lot of people who died from the AIDS crisis, especially early, struggled to have actual funerals for many reasons. Cost was obviously one thing, but a lot of people, because they did not know the source, they were really afraid to handle the bodies, so they couldn't get them a proper funeral. One of the ways people decided to memorialize them instead was via this giant quilt. And Ronald Reagan and his wife went into the air in a helicopter and got to see the whole thing at once. And reportedly, it was a very impacting moment for them. It caused Nancy Reagan to cry. You could fight these people directly. There are videos you'll see of people grabbing and de-arresting people from ICE. And that's a strategy, but it's really, really risky right now, especially now. I think creativity is the name of the game. Finding creative solutions. Fascists want you to swing at them because they want to come at you with all of their toys and money and everything they've been saving up. Look at Charlie Kirk, that's what they want. But they're not smart at all. Just like fucking clown show Choe. These people are very stupid and they can be out-thunk pretty easily. So good luck out there. I've got a giant video about fascists that I ran into not too long ago coming out. And if you'd like to support me, again, you can support other people. There's lots that absolutely need it and will buckle without your money. But I would love to build a following of people who just want to throw me $1 or $5. I have 180,000 subscribers now. If everybody gives me $1, I'm basically making what I made at Nordstrom. Until next time, ride fast and take chances.
You already had one of my stickers on your thing from the when the Christian Nationalists came here. That's the first time I saw you, and I was like, "You're my big Carl." I don't know if you remember that, but I do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, that was a wild day. That was a wild fucking day.
You don't think you're gonna have your hate parade at Cal Anderson, and you don't think shit's gonna hit the fan? You're dumber than you look.
Is it okay if I film you?
Yeah, man.
Okay, hell yeah. What's your story? What's your story, brother?
I'm a large, angry white man, so everyone always tells me I'm too big and too loud.
Yeah.
So I got a megaphone, and I'm gonna lean into it.
Hell
so
yeah.
I speak truth. Because these motherfuckers need to hear truth bombs from somebody that looks like them.
Hell yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah. Have you heard of a Big Carl?
This is my elevator pitch for a new community protection service I'm calling Rent a Big Carl. The idea behind this is that there's a lot of places that queer and trans folk, but I mean really anyone whose identity doesn't fit neatly into the dominant culture, can't go safely. Carl is straight, white, tall, preferably jacked, and Republican passing. He drives a big truck and he likes guns. But not the I like guns to protect myself from violent minorities type of way, but the I like guns because trans visibility without trans protection is just putting a target on trans people type of way. Starting to pick up what I'm putting down. Not Carl's hate bullies. For humanity to know that queer people are not the reason for any struggle they may have. They're gonna pull up whenever you need them for free. Their privilege as someone in a big white straight body. Make sure no other big white straight bodies give you shit for existing in this world.
You're a fucking Big Carl, bro.
I'm a big Carl, man.
Hell fucking yeah. That's a bit. We found a real life Big Carl in fucking person right here.
I'll happily be your big Carl.